When Andrew Yang started running for president, no one cared. But then, when they found out he was going to give out free money, all of a sudden, everyone knew his name. So, who is Andrew Yang? Other than the man debate moderators turn to when they're sick of being yelled at by Bernie, it turns out he's got a pretty interesting story.
His parents immigrated from Taiwan. His father, a physicist. His mother has a master's in math and statistics. Yang grew up in Schenectady, New York.
I was a very nerdy Chinese kid, played piano and had braces.
He studied economics and political science at Brown and went to law school at Columbia.
Yang made millions helping Americans study harder for standardized tests as CEO of Manhattan Prep. He then founded Venture for America, an organization helping entrepreneurs create jobs in cities like Baltimore and Detroit. And Yang says it helped push him into politics.
He was named a presidential ambassador of entrepreneurship by the Obama administration and a champion of change.
Okay, wait, what? I didn't know that. Yang was Obama's ambassador of entrepreneurship? I didn't know that. Like, why does he never talk about that at the debates? Yeah, because if you have anything to do with Obama, you got to bring that shit up every time you get a chance. Every other candidate does it. I was his vice president. I work in his cabinet. If you squint, I kind of look like him. So Andrew Yang is a lawyer who made millions of dollars as an entrepreneur. But what got his presidential campaign noticed was not how much money he has, but how much money he was willing to give away.
He announced in 2017 that barely moved the needle. Then he went on the Joe Rogan Experience in February of 2019. He talked about his universal basic income plan, which would give every American citizen $1,000 a month. And suddenly the mentions of him skyrocketed.
Tonight, free money for every American adult for every month, no strings attached.
Presidential candidate Andrew Yang's big idea, give every American adult $1,000 a month.
If you've heard anything about me and my campaign, you've heard something like this. There's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month.
Under universal basic income, or as Andrew Yang calls it, the freedom dividend, his proposal is that every single American over the age of 18 would receive a check for $1,000 every month. No strings attached. Every American. Even Bill Gates. Yeah. And like, what is Bill Gates gonna do with a check for $1,000? Just be like, great, I can dip this in water and use it as a wet nap. Thank you, US government. Thank you. So that's the policy that made Andrew Yang famous. And it turns out there's a lot more where that came from.
No other Democratic candidate has more policy stances on their website than Yang. From core issues like the freedom dividend to more obscure ones targeting airlines and robocalling.
Some of his other policy proposals, Medicare for all, gun safety, and even free marriage counseling for all.
Yang says that he would pardon every prison inmate convicted of nonviolent marijuana offenses if he gets elected.
And Andrew Yang says if he were elected, he would promote transparency by declassifying information about Air Force Area 51.
So if I become privy to information about aliens or Area 51 or anything that I am able to share, I will share it.
Okay. That's super exciting. If Andrew Yang becomes president, he's gonna tell all of us what's in Area 51. That is so dope. That is so dope because we get to learn about aliens and Rudy Giuliani gets to meet his family. Wow! Everybody wins. So that's Andrew Yang, a businessman turned politician who wants to show us the money and the aliens. Oh, and there's one other thing you should know about him. He's probably gonna spend his $1,000 a month on the swear jar.
If Donald Trump's the scissors, I'm the rock.
There's a lot of bullshit around it too.
I call bullshit!
And I should really do it.
That's right, I did some math!
Shit.
Challenge accepted.
You are getting and so because you're getting you're just like, hey, I don't want to care. And I want to undo that. I want to you. And so if you want to help me you, then like vote me into office.
What? I want to you? I gotta say, that's a weird presidential pitch. But it would make a really original R&B song, you know? It's like, if I had known your bed was a mattress on the ground, boy, oh, I wanna you. But yeah, it turns out Andrew Yang doesn't just have tons of policies, he has a ton of curse words. And you know what? that could actually be the key to getting him more attention at these debates. Yeah, think about it. Trump didn't get on stage and release a bunch of policy papers. No, he went up there and he said he had a big penis, and if Americans voted for him, the rest of us would have big penises too, and Mexico would pay for them. So Andrew Yang, if you want more media attention, you gotta take it, man. The next time you get up on that stage, make your 6 minutes count. Just come out on stage and be like, elect me and I'll make it rain every month. Universal basic income for all you universal basic bitches. This shit's gonna work, and you can trust my ass, because I rolled with Barack Obama.
The 2020 presidential campaign. Like my afternoon poop, it's not quite here yet, but I can already feel it. Out of all the candidates, there's only one I can see myself in.
I'm Andrew Yang, and I'm running for president as a Democrat in 2020.
He's a successful businessman, and I don't know if it's the cut of his suits or the way he lights up a room, but there's just something about this guy that makes me want to vote for him based on zero research. Okay, so you're Asian, you're running for president. What else is there to know?
My platform.
Right, I thought your platform was being Asian.
There are many, many other Americans who care more about my stance on the issues than, frankly, what my race is.
Which is?
Asian.
Yes. And that's all we need to know here. Okay, let's wrap this up.
I think we should discuss my platform.
If you want to talk about what you believe or whatever, go for it. I'm going to edit all this out, by the way.
I believe that every American adult at the age of 18 should get $1,000 a month, free and clear, from the government to do whatever they want.
For working hard, right?
Oh, for being a citizen of this great country.
As his ad show, Yang is all about universal basic income. The idea that the government should give everyone a monthly check, even if they're not working. You can't just give people free money. That's the only reason people work. If I was getting paid without having to work, 你以为我会在这边跟这些白人做工？
我不同意. You can't quit your job on $12,000 a year. It would make it so that Americans can transition as technology is eating away many, many jobs. Artificial intelligence is around the corner.
Oh my God, artificial intelligence? Robots? That's your thing?
Yes.
Dude, you are making it so hard to blindly vote on identity politics right now.
Projections are that about 44% of American jobs are subject to automation. Self-driving cars and trucks are going to displace 5 million Americans who drive for a living.
Shit.
It's going to displace hundreds of thousands of bookkeepers, lawyers, and on and on.
According to Yang, everyone but me should get ready to be replaced. So if Andrew Yang is going to stand a chance in this election, he's going to have to learn what really excites today's voters.
If we had a value-added tax at even half the European level,
You're using all these numbers and all this nerd shit. Listen, there's only one thing that wins elections in America, okay? That's fear and hate.
That's two things.
Okay, again, with the numbers. People are jobless, angry, and ready to blame their problems on another race. And robots are the one race it's okay to hate.
Yeah, well, robots aren't a race, for one.
Good, deny their humanity. That's a great first step. Next time you campaign, I want you to go out and say, robots are causing all the robot crime in Robot Chicago.
There is no Robot Chicago.
It doesn't matter. We're not talking about truth. We're talking about hate and fear and getting in power for Asian people and getting revenge on every single person.
Yeah,
whoever said we weren't good enough.
I'm for none of those things.
Okay, good thing I'm here to help you out. So this is an ad we prepared for your campaign. Andrew Yang knows America is being invaded by robots. They're sneaking across the border, taking the jobs we love, and imposing their same-sex robot Sharia law. Andrew Yang will stop the robots from banging your wife and becoming your son's new dad. Yang 2020, you will not replace us. What do you think?
It's kind of the opposite of where we need to go.
So you do not approve this message?
No, I do not approve this message.
You do not what? Sorry, I missed that.
Approve this message.
And what is your name again?
I'm Andrew Yang.
Yang 2020, the robots. Them to hell.
I'm Andrew Yang, and I approve this message.
Presidential candidate Andrew Yang is currently polling in 6th place. But you wouldn't know it from the media coverage he gets. In fact, Yang only ranks 13th in cable news mentions, which probably explains why he has to get attention with stunts like this.
A Democratic presidential candidate is taking his campaign to new heights, literally. Check this out. Andrew Yang does crowd surfing. The businessman turned 2020 candidate speaking at a forum organized by Asian American activist groups. When he was hoisted into the air, he tweeted out the video writing, "Haven't crowd surfed in a while, #Yang Gang."
Yeah! Yin Yang, Andrew Yang is crowd surfing. And I know it looks fun, but for a politician, that's really risky. Because you're making so many people grab your ass. That's a scandal waiting to happen. Yeah, you basically have to get permission individually with every single person that you go past. It's gonna be like the slowest crowd surf ever. You'd be like, do you consent to my ass? Do you consent to my ass? Okay, do you consent to my ass? Do you consent to my ass? Thank you, thank you. But you realize now that Yang has done it, I bet other candidates are also gonna try and be cool and crowd surf, which is gonna be awkward for people like Bill de Blasio who only have one supporter. And I gotta hand it to Andrew Yang. He's not getting a ton of media coverage, so he's out there getting that attention for himself. Crowd surfing, playing basketball, doing the Cupid shuffle. Only problem is, Andrew, you realize you're gonna have to keep escalating your stunts. At this rate, in 6 months, he's gonna have to go full Tom Cruise.
My flagship proposal, the Freedom Dividend, would put $1,000 a month into the hands of every American adult, be a game changer for millions of American families.
Of all the candidates I've seen on the trail, you seem to be having the most fun, are you?
Oh, it's a very low bar you set, Trevor.
What do you say to American workers who go, hey, I don't have a job and I wanna change this?
That's exactly right. Amazon right now is closing 30% of America's stores and malls and paying zero in taxes. So what we do is we set up a mechanism where the American people get our fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every robot truck mile, and put a dividend into Americans' hands of $1,000 a month. The Freedom Dividend would help all Americans feel like we're benefiting from all of the progress and innovation.
That's an interesting yeah, we like that. Yeah, a lot of people like that. Because, I mean, it takes guts to come out and say, my plan is that we will give every single American $1,000 a month just for being here.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly, but instead of passing go, it's the first of the month.
You just get, yeah, but now here's the thing. I don't know if you've played Monopoly, it always ends in tears. And that's what people are saying would happen if you gave people universal basic income. You know, yes, the smaller countries who've trialed it, but they have found, for instance, in some Scandinavian countries, that then people don't work enough or they don't want to work, they lose ambition. There's a negative effect to that. How do you pay for it, and how do you ensure that it doesn't mean people just don't contribute to society?
Well, when I've looked at all of the studies as to what happened when people got money, only 2 groups worked less. New mothers who spend more time with their children, and teenagers who spend more time in school and graduate at higher levels. I don't think anyone here has a problem with either of those things.
And then how do you pay for it?
And the way you pay for it, again, if you have a $1 trillion tech company like Amazon paying zero in taxes, then of course you're gonna look around and be like, where's the money going? Where's the money going? But if you give the American people a slice of every Amazon sale, every AI-driven interaction, just a sliver, because the amount of value that technology is going to generate can literally be measured in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
We have to put ourselves in position to benefit, and then we can pay for a dividend of $1,000 a month.
One of my favorite quotes that you said was, you said, you are the complete opposite of Donald Trump. And the reason was?
Because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math.